Hello, I'm Eric, and I did my presentation on Facebook. And Facebook may not necessarily be in like its prime right now, but it's still a very influential and powerful company. Some stuff about Facebook is the world's largest social network. It is used like globally and has over 1.11 billion users. And it provides a place for communication and to be able to connect people from all over the world, and you can do that through like sharing messages and sharing videos and photos. And to create an account, it's pretty easy. You just enter your information and create like a login info, and you can start immediately networking and establishing relationships. Some more background info is Facebook was founded by Mark Zuckerberg, Eduardo Saverin, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes in 2004. Access to Facebook is free of charge, but they earn their money through like advertising, and that's gonna, as I'll later explain, that'll create some controversy in the company. And Facebook really values transparency among its like users, so they want you to be like as honest and true about yourself as possible. And Facebook's user growth through the time, and as I mentioned earlier, Facebook peaked in 2012, only 8 years after it was started, and it reached 1 billion users in 2012, and it now has a net worth of 527 billion. And this is just the revenue growth, and you can see it's constantly growing to this day. And here's a video I thought was kind of important about the financial stuff.
And I tested the sound this morning, it was working good.
We want to get Facebook is out with its earnings results. Jared Lecrae has those numbers for us. Jared?
That's right. We got some nice beats on the key metrics, but you can see the stock is down 5% there after in the initial moments after that was released. So here are the numbers. Fourth quarter revenue for the firm came in at 28.07 billion. The estimate was for lower, 26.41 billion. So nice beat there. When we take a look at fourth quarter EPS, that came at $3.88. The estimate was for lower at $3.22. And then the monthly active users, 2.8 billion. That's what, 1/3 of the, actually more, of the world's population. So 2.8 billion, the estimate was for 2.76 billion daily active users. So on a daily basis, 1.84 billion, estimate was for 1.83 billion. One of the headlines here that's catching my attention is that they continue to face significant uncertainty. And so that might be one of the reasons, their outlook of why the stock is down here. Also, they saw a tailwind to advertising business in the second half of 2020. That was due to all the political advertising. Of course, that is dropping off as well. A couple other measures here from the report. Facebook headcount was 58,604 as of December 31st. And just a couple of quotes from the report. They're seeing first quarter and second quarter growth rate in revenue as being stable, moderately faster, but they do see more significant ad targeting headwinds in 2021. So just to recap here, we got nice beats on both the top and bottom line, also in monthly and daily active users, but that outlook probably spooking investors a little bit.
So that video just kind of explained just how influential Facebook really is and how many users there is, and just talked about their revenues and growth throughout the past couple of years. And so Facebook's mission statement was to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together by establishing relationships among people you might not necessarily ever like see in real life, but you can just talk to them and learn more about them. And Facebook wants people to discover what's going on in the world and be able to express what matters to them the most. So their code of ethics was, there's a lot of information on it, but the most important parts were like the employees must use their judgment for all decisions and act smartly, no mistreatment among any users or employees, preserving integrity in the workplace and being honest, respecting the confidential information of the users, and respecting each other and the users. And so the world and the news media kind of makes Facebook seem like a social networking monster, as it's the biggest social network, and you're prone to mistakes when there's so many people using it, but the there's a data scandal that Facebook had. It's called the Facebook Cambridge Analytical Data Scandal, and it was where millions of personal data was obtained by Cambridge Analytica in Great Britain, and this was used for political advertising, and they grabbed this data without the user's consent, and 87 million Facebook profiles and information were used for it, so it became a big problem, and they were ultimately fined $5 billion for it. And many employees have spoke out about the pressures of working for Facebook because you know how big of a company it is, and this culture has kind of contributed to the scandals, as many say they would have been able to solve the problems if they were more motivated to work there. And they have lost nearly $252 billion in market capitalization through all the scandals and controversies they've had to go through. And this just talks about who owns Facebook, and just talks about how this is a map of where Facebook is really popular right now, or in 2009 actually, but it's still growing to this day.
Not in China.
And the number of Facebook, as that video mentioned, it's reached over around 40,000 employees. So you can just see the growth. It's continued. And after doing research, I believe Facebook is a relatively ethical company, but they've had a lot of scandals throughout the years dealing with their misuse of data, which goes against their code of ethics. But again, being the largest social network is tough to control and monitor everything, but I believe they have the money to do it, and they should be able to fix it. Thanks for my references.
Thank you.
I'd
love
like
the
to
map.
introduce Brady Puckett.
I love it. I love the map because look where they weren't.
Yeah.
China, none. Certain countries won't let them in. Won't let them use it. Come on up. How are you? Oh wow, that was good. That was very good. I actually was flipping through movies the last week or so, and Social Network was on there. I should have watched it again.
It's a good movie.
It's a movie. Yeah, it's a good movie. I just watched. I don't know. There was one like it. I can't think of it. Okay, so my question while he's getting ready. Do people on average have more than one Facebook account? No. But you can have more than one. I have two. I don't ever use them. But I was working for that orthopedic surgeon, and we were learning how to do advertising with Facebook. And I didn't want to link a bunch of stuff to my personal Facebook, which has nothing on it. Like I click on it once a year. I'm one of those inactive users. So I created a new one and just kind of looked at different pages and all that, which was such a good experience because then we came into Canvas and Moodle and all these things at Piedmont, and I knew how to use them because they're very similar. Interesting. But you know, before you graduate, you want to make sure yours is cleaned up. Sometimes people make one inactive and start a new one. I wonder if you can work for Facebook remotely. Interesting, because you know Amazon's hiring like crazy. Work from home, they monitor what's going on your desk. But I wonder if Facebook hires from home. I don't know. I heard the funniest thing. They were interviewing Zuckerberg and whoever's in charge of Twitter in like Washington D.C. They were nailing them with questions, and they were calm, cool, and collected. And the news broadcaster got on there, and he's like, "What did they take before that interview? Because like, who can stand up in front of the world, all of us being televised, you know, and just be calm, cool, and collected about we are not collecting data, we are not inappropriately using data." And Zuckerberg was just calm, cool, and collected. I don't know how he does it. But he has a big business to run. Oh my goodness. I love some of the numbers. Yeah, so they're talking about 1.1, 1.8 active users per day, but like 2.8 total in the world registered. So that counts together a billion like me that just don't use it. Interesting. But I like the fact that it peaked in 12. That was a cool chart. But yeah, that map, I'll have to look at it and see where else they're not. What else? Oh, it would be interesting to look at a historical look of their mission and code of ethics, because you know all the last say 10 years they've been under, you know, or not even 10, 5, they've been under a lot of pressure for protecting data. Now it's in their code and their mission statement that we will protect user data. I wonder if that was in there from the beginning. It might not have been. It might have been a political thing where they said we better get that in there since we're being sued all the time. And where does the $5 billion in lawsuit money go? That would go to our government, right? That's interesting when you look at all these settlements like Pfizer and all those. When the government sues these big corporations, that's just money that goes back to our government to give us in stimulus checks, right? $5 billion though, they can afford it. Use your judgment, yeah, because it's like a bossless organization.